Welcome to Dinner Car House. I hope you enjoyed this video.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Welcome back to another video. And today we basically have the second batch of cards that we sent out. We got all these grades back. The very first batch that y'all saw in the last two videos, they basically went to ZNG and Alt, and they have now completed. So we do have the results for y'all. That's going to be coming up later in the video. Not the grades that we were kind of hoping for, but we did good on some of them. But we did get smashed on a lot.
We did good on none of them. This is pretty recent, 9 cert. The reason why I think this is actually a good 7 is because you see that there is whitening or silvering all around the card. There is clearly a lot of scratches on the front. Centering is not that great. And then when you turn on the back, you can see that there is whitening all around the edge. Same for this one. You see how the whitening on the back is it stands out really, you can see a lot of whitening all around the edges. While we have 7s here where these are pretty much packed fresh. There's no creases or bends on the front or on the card at all. While you see maybe 1 or 2, 3 dots, no edging on the edges. Well, these are 7s, by the way. If you compare these two together, what 7 do you think is more correct? And then we have PSA 8s where this is an 8 right here where centering is completely off. You see the thickness of the right and left side, even top to bottom. There's whitening around the edges. And these are the 8s that they gave us. If you zoom in closely on the hull, there's not a single scratch on it. Maybe if there's some on some of these, which is okay, but now you look at the back. So that's the reason why when we look at all these, we're not very happy with. This one, you see 1 dot. Centering is fair. The hollow is probably close to perfect. Same for this one. This one is recently graded. As you can see, this is recently graded, just like the Blastoise and the ones that we have right here. There is print lines on the front and some scratches on it. This one doesn't seem to have too much silvering on it, but when you turn to the back, you can see that there's very deep whitening onto the blues, like right here, going down the bottom, top right here, corners. I would think that justifies for a 7 because there's whitening and flaws on the card, and then whenever you compare it to the 7s that we have right here, from what I can see around, there's no scratches on it. There's no silvering around the card. And then whenever you turn onto the back of the card, edges are actually pretty crispy. You see the edge right here, there's no whitening around the card, but yes, there is some white dots. To me, that doesn't justify a 7 whenever you compare these two. So that's why I think that the grades here are pretty rough. So this portion that you see right here is actually the E-Series portion of the submission. We did receive the collection from base set to Neo Destiny, which we did break down already because we're also disappointed with this, so we just kept some of the cards and we sold everything else. What we plan to do now is that I don't think that we should regrade the majority of these cards just because for this submission alone it was almost 7,000. So if you do the math, if we crack it or we resend it in, we have to spend another 7,000 to grade these cards, which kind of doesn't make sense, right? So we will probably take losses for buying the collection, grading it, and just take the loss on the cards that were not graded the way that we think they should have been. We don't think that it's worth regrading majority of these cards because the value is not there. For example, this Clefable is probably only 30-40 bucks. The entire submission costs $7,000 to regrade 400 something cards. Just doesn't make sense for 1 grade or 2 bump. Maybe 20 or 30 of this 470 card submission we will bring to Becca and see what we can do. Other than that, we're gonna just sell off everything and just take the loss and move on from this whole situation. So the reason why we split the previous submission to ZNG and alt was because we wanted to see what was the best or what worked the best, because we heard they were both great. We actually sent 51,000 to ZNG and 51,000 to alt based off our comps. Yeah, comps. I think that they both did great. Actually, I had no ill feeling towards both auction houses after everything, even though some comps did go under on both sides. Man, they're both great. For example, we had the crystal ho-oh that we sent in PSA 10. The last two comps was, I believe, 5,500 and about 5,000. We did a world-breaking comp of 8,700. After that, they paid us out around 8,200. And there's actually a crystal ho-oh that sold right after that, so for 5,500, meaning our card did extremely well at all. The one that sold after that was sold at Fanatics for 5,500. So I actually sent multiple crystals to alt, and they did crazy numbers. For example, Crystal Crobat, I think the last sold was 2,200. We got 2,900 for it. Same thing with Golem. Everything did higher than what we expected. Now we did lose on the cheaper stuff, like the stuff that was under 500 bucks. We lost on that, but it makes up for that. While ZNG, they did great too. We had 295 Blaine Charizard. We sent one to alt and one to ZNG. Both same subgrades. Alt only pulled around 1,600 or 1,700, while ZNG pulled a whopping 2,500. The Shiny Charizard for ZNG did great. I think last one was 4,500. We got 5,500. Biggest thing that I think about these two is that when you're at alt, they give you cash advance of, I believe it depends on what you send in. It's like maybe 60 to 70% of cash advance to you. The beautiful thing about alt is that I sent them the cards and they advanced me, 20, 30,000. It took 3 weeks to sell the cards. In that time frame, I can use that 30,000 to invest in another big collection or make it worth my time while it's being sold. Same thing for ZNG. So it takes 2-3 weeks. But in this time with alt is that I can turn 30K to 40, 50, whatever it is. And if there was any losses on alt, that will make up for the losses. And let's say I made 10K and then there you go. It makes up for all the losses on the cards. While ZNG, where the numbers did amazing, but there is a fee, it takes the same amount of time between the two companies. I will still do both. Like I think ZNG is great for the niche type of cards where I sent like a Shining Gyarados German, which I could not sell for like a year, and it sold for way more than I thought it was worth. ZNG is good for niche, big cards. They do great. Alt, if you have plans to keep investing, I think alt is the option for you. So I was just at the West Coast card show and alt was there. I did drop off a part of the submission that we didn't give them yet to alt. It was the Legendary Collection Charizard and the Sky Ridge Charizard and a couple other cards that we sent with them. The total value that they gave the value of the cards was around 36,000. They cash advanced me 69 or 70%, which was 23,000 cash. And during that show, what I did was, for example here, I picked up this lot right here. Maybe to round it up, it cost us about 9,000 for this. During the time that those cards are being sold at alt, I have money to make moves on different cards and make a bigger profit. I'm gonna try to bring this to Beckett and try to
crack it.
Yeah, crack it and regrade with Beckett and see how we do and see how much of a profit we can make with just these 4 cards with the cash advance. Because let's say we make 5,000 in this whole deal, it takes us 2 weeks. When we go to Beckett, let's say we make $2,000 here. After everything sells at all for the value of 36,000, we still made an extra 2,000 just with the cash advance, just to say for that time period. And that's where you win. You can't go wrong with ZNG or alt. I think they're both great. You can't go wrong with either companies. If you like the pros of alt or you like the pros of ZNG, you can pick either or you can just bring it to us and we offer you cash on the spot.
Thank you for watching and like and subscribe.